Well, hello and welcome back to Roundtable Mindset. This is Jamie.
And I'm Mahlon.
And we're back for a Christmas edition of Roundtable Mindset.
Merry Christmas.
It's
and a happy
full
New
of
Year.
holiday cheer.
I absolutely love this time of year. It's my first favorite holiday. I'm going to be that cliche. Like Christmas
Wait a
is my
minute.
number one.
Is it really?
It is.
We thought it was Halloween.
No. Close second is Halloween.
Oh.
Very
if it's
close.
Halloween time, Halloween's your favorite.
I love
if it's
Halloween.
Christmas time.
But if I had to pick, Christmas is my favorite. I think what I like about it is because even Halloween, I love the decorations. I love the spookiness. I love the decor. But it doesn't have the family time that Christmas does. So Christmas, I mean, we do, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. My wife, a few years back, instituted a family tradition of ours as we go through the Christmas holiday, because all we were focusing on was getting the gifts, getting the treats made, getting dinner made. Like we were not embracing the full Christmas experience. And it was, I want to say about 5 years ago, she kind of stopped me and she was like, what are we doing? Why, we should be enjoying these events with our kids. And so every day from December 1 through December 25th, we do one Christmas related activity. And that could be decorating, that could be caroling, that could be Christmas light looking, that could be watching a Christmas movie, going to a Christmas event, whatever it is, seeing a nativity set, whatever. And it makes us pause even for an hour or so as a family to kind of appreciate just being together and the holiday season. And it's been really good. And it's finally something I think the kids even look forward to. So we're in the tail end of that. By the time this airs, Christmas will be here, but it will be just about ready to wrap up. And it's been fun. We've done a lot of really great things. So that's what we did.
Well, I do have to say, first of all, I'm super grateful that we don't have to deal with like the space-time podcast continuum thing that we have to deal with so often, because this is like the Sunday before before Christmas, right? So it is in a few days. Oh my God, see?
Jamie's stuck in the holidays.
Even when it's easy, it's got to be hard. But I'm curious how that has been for you with one having flown the coop. How has that been different, and how have you guys done with that?
So yeah, it has been different. There's been some activities we've waited to do, some movies we waited to watch until she's home. My daughter's up in college and she has her own life that she's building. She has her own friends. And she's, even if she doesn't realize it, she has her own traditions she's starting. And she's very excited to come back home and do some of the things that we've always do every year. So she's been looking forward to that. But I will say it for us this year, because it's been so different, it's almost not felt like Christmas up until a couple days ago when she came home. So in a weird way, we're still doing these activities, but it's almost like we're missing someone.
Yeah.
And we had to shift which activities we did and kind of plan them out a little bit more, because again, we wanted to make sure some key ones, all of our favorite Christmas movie, we want to make sure everybody's there. Baking of the Christmas treats, we want to make sure everybody was here. So it's just been some shifting around. But other than that, I mean, we're still enjoying them, but it's just not the same as it has been in the past.
Yeah, I get that. Well, and I can definitely feel that it doesn't quite feel the same. I mean, it's not the first year I haven't had all of my kids at home with the obligation of my house is your Christmas place kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's been that way for a couple of years, but I definitely think there is, something's been a little different this year for me too. So I was just kind of curious how that was for you guys. I would say,
as this is my first year, so I'm all of infinite wisdom on this, not. But I will say something that I'm kind of realizing is that Christmas is going to be different from this point forward. It's not going to be that it goes away completely. It just has to be how much can I bend, right? So if I come into this Christmas season next year with the expectation that it's going to be exactly the same, or it's going to go back to the way it was before any of my kids left for college, then I'm going to be up for a disappointment. But if I can make myself bend and more fluid and, understand that these traditions are going to change and maybe we need to include new traditions. And I think if I just do that, I will be okay long term.
And pretty soon you're going to be including new people.
We're hoping that's quite a ways away. But yeah, that's another thing.
So it didn't happen this Christmas.
What's that?
It didn't happen this Christmas.
No,
we don't have
it did not.
additional people for Christmas yet.
No. So it's just the core 5 of us this year, which we're going to look forward to, which is another reason why, I unplugged from work, and I've severely unplugged from work. I mean, I've taken apps off my phone. I've shut off emails. I'm like,
I am living in the delusion that I'm retired. What?
I don't say retired. I'm living in the delusion that I'm independently wealthy and I only work when I need to or want to. So
that works.
That works for me. But no, I was going to ask you, because this, when we decided to do the format again where we're just going to turn on the mics and talk. Lucky for all of our listeners, I'm sure.
It's like a Christmas gift for all of you.
Is.
Welcome.
That's what I was going to say. It's like our Christmas gift to everyone that we can say, here's us unfiltered and off the cuff. So,
and unedited. It's my turn to edit. So I'm not planning to leave anything on the editing room floor. You guys are just getting us as we come to you. So enjoy.
Jamie and I take turns on editing the episodes. And of course, she was first to volunteer, the one that we don't going to do any editing. So thank you,
We're not going to edit.
Falling on that sword for us. I really appreciate that.
Well, you've got the kid home from college. I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah. Okay. No, just kidding. No, but so this happened at work the other day, and it was kind of a neat question. I'm going to bring it here just for us to talk about. I tend to like icebreaker questions.
Yes, you do.
But I've kind of heard a lot of them, right? Like when you get a meeting together and you have new people. Well, this icebreaking question was so different than the one that I've ever heard before that I wanted to ask you to see what your thoughts were.
Oh, heaven. Okay.
So here is the question. What foods make you the most angry? Now, they asked it that way, but it turned out to be what foods make you the most angry or upset or you just generally dislike is kind of where it ended up. But that was the first question she asked was, what foods make you angry?
I don't know if I have any foods that make me angry. I feel like I've transcended that level of life where I don't need a food to make me angry. It seems kind of silly.
Well, try to have a little bit of fun. Let's add the word weird. What food do you think is weird or that you like that's weird?
Spam. A lot of people hate Spam. I like Spam. I don't know why I like Spam. But I don't know.
Spam?
As a kid, it was like we ate Spam all the time. So I like Spam, and most people are like, you eat that? And I'm like, okay, so I don't really eat it that often, but I have fond memories of Spam.
I tried Spam for the first time about, was it 7 months ago? It was a while ago. And I was not disappointed. I mean, it wasn't anything that I was like, I'm going to have this every night.
Right.
But it wasn't, I mean, as much as I popped the tin of the can and meat slid out of it, I was not looking, there was not a lot of, hope for this dish. So.
You know what? Actually, maybe Spam makes me angry too. Because the last time I made Spam, and this was a while ago, I could not get the freaking thing out of the can. It was like, I was so mad. I'm like, what happened? They just right out on the plate every time, and it was fine. And
yours didn't have enough gelatin in it. Do you know what growing up, this and this is the first thing that I thought of when I heard this question, and I thought, I'm going to see if we can do this on the podcast. I had one that I saw you do with growing up that I thought was just the absolute weirdest thing I've ever seen. Do you remember what that is?
No. What? I can't believe I'm
angry.
giving you a blank check to say, okay, expose the weirdness.
Yeah, you and your family, I don't know which ones of your family, I just remember you doing it, put sauerkraut in your mashed potatoes.
Oh, yes.
That made me, oh, no, that's disgusting. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
Well, okay. So here's the deal. When I was a kid, now my mother is Irish and German, and my dad is German, and I don't know, but definitely German. And so both of them like sauerkraut and kraut and dogs, whatever. So I would, like, in kindergarten, I would come home and I always knew it was going to be a bad night when I walked in and I smelled the sauerkraut, because my mom would put it on in the morning and it would cook all day long. And then she would add like Polish dogs to it, like Polish sausages to it. And we had that with mashed potatoes. And I refused to eat it. I absolutely refused to eat it all the time because I thought it was nasty. Well, then my mom was like on this big, you have to try everything kind of kick. And so she was like, here, just put it in your mashed potatoes, and then you will get the good taste from the kraut and not all of the taste from the kraut. And so that's how it started. But yeah, it was, it made those days less like dreadful when I walked in after school and was like, oh, okay, I can do this today. Now I love sauerkraut. It's like one of my favorite things on the planet, but I could eat that straight out of the jar now. Like, I love sauerkraut. But that's how my mom got me to try sauerkraut, was to put it in my mashed potatoes.
I just remember seeing you do that, and you defended it so hard when we were kids, and I was like, that is disgusting. That is absolutely vile. And you're like, have you ever tried it? I'm like, no, but I know that's disgusting, and you're ruining good mashed potatoes. And you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm not the one eating sauerkraut and mashed potatoes. So,
man, I would eat sauerkraut and just about anything. I love the stuff, but actually, okay, now that you say that, I did think I have thought of something that did make me angry. Food that makes me angry. My mother used to do this thing where she would take SpaghettiOs and put cottage cheese in it. It was like, it was so gross. It like made me want to gag every time. And she's like, what? It's like lasagna. And I'm like, no, it's like SpaghettiOs with cottage cheese. Ugh.
Okay, so everybody that's listening will not understand this, but I know your mom. I knew your mom. I ate your mom's food. Your mom was a good cook. Hearing these two things, no, I would never have eaten your mom's food. But your mom's saving grace was her homemade burritos. I can still remember those, and those were.
Except it was like McCormick taco mix. It really wasn't that special.
It doesn't matter.
But
I've tried McCormick, and she put a little magic in them because they are delicious, absolutely delicious. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Taco night was a good night. That was not a night that I was dreading coming home from school. Taco night was some good stuff, but the taco became the vehicle to get the sour cream in the face. You know what I mean? The sour cream and salsa, that's what it was all about.
The shell is nothing but an edible spoon to get all the other delicious things into your mouth. That's all the taco is.
It's so funny.
I was looking up. So, okay. So I don't know what you want from today's episode, but being kind of in a Christmas mood, it kind of made me think, like, I'm not going to say it's going to be a virtual Christmas party here at the Roundtable, but kind of. So I started looking up other like questions that you can ask for icebreakers, and that slid me into some weird Christmas facts that I thought were interesting.
Okay, I want to hear weird Christmas facts. Is it going to ruin the holiday for me?
Oh, I don't think so. I just think they're odd. Like,
perfect.
So most of these are around traditions, right? So outside of our traditions here in America, a lot of these are from other countries, and ones that I've never even heard of before. I didn't know if you have or not. I know sounds like you have family members outside the United States, but here we go.
Okay.
Norway, one of their traditions is people hide their brooms on Christmas, specifically on Christmas Eve, because they believe that witches and spirits will steal them to ride. That's in Norway.
Oh, that's like mixing your favorite holidays, right?
Well, okay. So I wasn't going to go into all of this, but I did go as I was researching and just kind of finding, well, this is weird. So then I found some more weird stuff that then took me, and I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm not prepared to talk about it by any means, but have you ever heard of salinadia? I think that's what it's called.
No, I can't even correct that word for you. I've not heard of it that much.
I'm sure I'm butchering it. It's basically where Christmas came from, our Christmas tradition.
Oh.
And I'm trying to find the word, but I can't find it now. But I didn't even write it down because I was like, this seems like it's too much, but I think it's salinadia. Everyone, if you're listening and you can correct me, please send us a note or something. But it seemed like it was kind of the backbone of what our normal Christmas traditions are today. It's a pagan holiday, I believe, and it originates sometime in the past. But I wasn't prepared to talk about it. But I was just like, I was finding all these weird things, and then I found these traditions that, like this one at Norway, where I'm like, why would witches steal your broom to ride across the night sky on Christmas Eve? It's just weird.
Well, it might be. Well, no. Well, because the winter solstice was what, yesterday or the day before or something? Is it always on the same day?
At the time, I think shifts, but I think it's either the 21st or the 22nd of December.
Oh, that's today. So it must be the 21st, because I think it's September 21st. So it wouldn't really, I don't know. Weird. Because I know like that, like the solstices are kind of mixed in with pagan rituals and stuff like that. But
oh yeah. I think that would be interesting just to dive in to understand where some of our holidays and traditions come from, because I have a feeling it's a blending of the Christian faith and pagan holidays. So I think it would be really interesting to.
Well, I don't know that Santa Claus is in the Bible anywhere either. So I'm sure there's more than just those two things that come together.
That's part of I'm assuming that's part of the paganism, but still.
Maybe.
Okay, eggnog.
By the way, you might not want to dig in too deep because it might ruin your Christmas. That's how we're going to ruin Christmas. Let's just keep our traditions the way they are. Our hearts are where they belong, and it's fine, right?
Well, now I've started picking at this, so I'm going to have to know more. So even if we don't talk about it, I think I'm going to do a little deep dive into that because I'm like, this is interesting. I find this fascinating.
Oh my God. Okay, eggnog.
Okay, eggnog. Do you know where eggnog originated?
I would assume in a warehouse somewhere where something went rotten and they were like, we can sell this anyway, just add some booze.
First of all, have you ever made homemade eggnog?
No, I have no desire.
It is a very expensive drink to make. So when you go to the store, oh yeah. Yeah. We tried looking into making our own eggnog. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But so eggnog originated in medieval Britain. Eggnog was a luxury for the upper class because they were the only ones who could afford the milk, sherry, and eggs needed to make it. Oh. So a lot of it's egg yolks that go in there.
They had bird flu back then too, causing
demand
and cost to go up on our eggs.
They could take the egg flu, or they would take the bird flu, and they would just be like, "What else you got? That was delicious. Move on." We're talking about a time I'm sure people lived when they were 23. They were considered grandparents. So,
oh well, yeah, that's true.
There's that. Okay, Ukraine. Ukraine for Christmas. Do you know what they use for decorating? Now, again, I don't know if this is current or if this was from a long time ago. I just thought this was interesting. But do you know what Ukrainians use to decorate their Christmas tree?
I feel like I should know this one. Peanuts? I don't know. Tell me. Garland became...
I don't know why I find that funny because it could be a variety of other things. Like, why not peanuts, right? Like, I'm laughing at it because I know the answer, but truthfully, if you take a step back and think about it, you guessed, and I appreciate that, but I'm like, peanuts, you're wrong. You're a fool.
You always think I'm wrong. It's fine.
They use fake spiders and spider webs and put them on their Christmas tree. Again, it's like another Halloween Christmas matchup.
Well, does it say what that signifies? Like, that has to like symbolize something or something, right?
It just says it's supposed to bring on good luck.
Oh.
Why does a spider represent good luck?
Oh,
beyond
well,
me.
because then you have fewer bugs if you have spiders in your house. Because the spiders eat the bugs. That's good luck, right?
I guess. What if you like? I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was a big thing. Maybe mosquitoes cause malaria, so they're thinking, hey, if you have enough spiders, it catches the mosquitoes, so you don't die of malaria.
I'm sorry, but I'm fairly certain. I mean, okay, this is probably the most unprepped I have, and this is saying something. This is the most unprepped I've ever come for an episode of Roundtable Mindset with you, and I'm fairly certain I can say this with some amount of certainty that it's cold in the Ukraine right now. So I don't think that malaria would be an issue, right?
Like, that's not what they're saying. That's me trying to rationalize why would this be something that would be good luck. Okay, I have no idea.
I don't either.
I don't know. In 1659, it was illegal to celebrate Christmas in Massachusetts. They enacted a law called Penalty for Keeping Christmas in 1659.
Really?
I wasn't there, but that's what I'm reading. So,
in 1659, it was illegal to celebrate Christmas. In Massachusetts?
Yep. Massachusetts Bay Colony enacted a law called Penalty for Keeping Christmas. That's all I know.
Huh.
I just thought it was funny.
That's really interesting. Why?
Can you imagine being illegal to celebrate Christmas?
Well, especially, I mean, the people that would be enacting that law would be like pilgrims, right?
Well, again, I think you have this is when knowing how the Christmas tradition came to be would be really fascinating. Because I think you've taken some Christian principles and applied them to pagan practices, I'm assuming. And thus,
you would think back then, though, Christmas, it's like the celebration of Christ's birthday.
Well,
and those would be people that would have recognized that.
Yeah, and that takes me...
Well, when were the Salem witch trials? Maybe it's because Massachusetts was full of a bunch of witches.
Another Halloween tie. I'm starting to see the two kind of being related more than they probably should have.
It's weird.
This last one, I have no idea. I'm just gonna read it, and I apologize. I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's called the Kagatio, or the pooping log. It only gets better from here, I promise. Yes, Kagatio, or the pooping log. In Catalonia, children feed sweets and nuts to a small wooden stick or log with a smile and keep it warm under a blanket during December.
Huh.
Again, why?
But why is it the pooping log if it's full of sugar?
I have no idea why they call it the pooping log at all.
Do you think that's like the beginnings of the Yule log? Because I've always thought that that's an interesting, a Yule log?
You know what I thought this was? I thought this was a spoof off of South Park's Mr. Hanky. Did you ever see that episode? Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo?
Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo. Yes.
Yeah. I thought that, I was like, maybe that was inspired by this Kagatio from Catalonia.
I don't know the creators of South Park, but I feel like it's probably just irreverence that created Mr. Hanky the Christmas poo. And as a way past that age adult, now I can look back and be like, what? Why was that? Why was that even there? And it's kind of funny, but when I was that age, I was like, ew, that's disgusting. Like, yeah.
And I think even though we've talked about, pooping log and all this other stuff, I think the weirdest Christmas thing I found, and I didn't know this was actually a thing at all, but do you know that in Japan, eating fried chicken for Christmas dinner is the thing to do. So much so that in 1974, KFC began promoting itself as the place to eat the ideal Christmas meal in Japan.
Oh.
Very popular for Christmas in Japan is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Huh.
They even had a campaign that started around that.
Our KFC is closed. Otherwise, I might be down for that this year. Because I'm not. I don't know. We're not doing any sort of traditional Christmas this year. It's all weird this year, but that's...
Well, apparently weird's in the eyes of the beholder, because what you find is weird, some people might call traditions.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, yeah, that's... I don't know. What are you doing for Christmas? Do you guys have like big plans? Are you staying home? Are you cooking the whole meal? What are you guys doing?
So we are going to cook the whole meal. We're going to have our traditions, the gifts, the openings, all of that fun stuff. And then I think we are going to be traveling for the new year. So we'll be seeing family for that. And then we've been invited to a New Year's Eve party with some friends that if we're back in time, we'll be hitting that up. So basically from the 25th till I go back to work, it's every day there's something going on.
So when are you coming to my place? Because if I'm nothing if not family, right?
Right. That's still up in the air, but it's looking like probably like 27th-ish, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So I'll let you know for sure. We're still looking at the kids' schedule. Everybody but Madison has her work schedule. So once she gets that, we'll be able to really nail it down.
Yeah, gotcha. We're doing, well, this is the first time in a long time that we haven't done Christmas on Christmas, like with my family, like my small and big family. So we usually, in the morning, we usually do our thing at my house, and then we go and celebrate with like my dad and Ben and sister and stuff. And so we're not doing that this year because my brother got married. And so he's going to be with the in-laws this year on Christmas. So we're doing game day at my house. And we're not calling it Christmas because we're not doing gifts or anything like that. We're doing Christmas on the 1st with my extended family. So we're just doing game day at my house. And I think I'm making enchiladas. I know, I'm kind of excited. I haven't made enchiladas in a while because it's a lot of work. But it's really not a lot of work, but...
My favorite meal that Kim makes is enchiladas, and she only makes them maybe a couple times a year. I just had her make me a batch for my birthday, and I ate on them for like 2 solid days. They were so delicious.
Well, I've also discovered that the last time I made enchiladas, which was a while ago, it's so easy, like, to just whip them up if you have all the stuff prepped. Do you know what I mean? So we definitely ate on enchiladas for several days after, and I would just like whip them up quick and throw them in the oven, and then they would be fresh. So it wouldn't even be like day old enchiladas. They were fresh enchiladas every time. It was so good.
You can't go wrong with enchiladas. I love them so much.
I know. I'm so excited. So Feliz Navidad at my house with the enchiladas. I cannot wait. So good.
So yeah. So again, this is just us kind of just talking. I'm very not prepared for this episode either. Trying to keep it, kind of light just because it's Christmas, and Jamie and I are taking a little bit of a break just through the Christmas season. I know my work has been absolutely crazy. Your work's been absolutely crazy. The power of podcasting, though, it should be seamless to our listeners. So for you, there will be no change. There will be no break. Right. But on the back end, we're taking a much needed break over the holidays. So
it's good. I'm appreciating that, actually.
Well, and I think last year, and I'm, trying to remember what we did from last year because I don't want to repeat the same thing, but I think we did like a year in review. So I don't want to avoid that. So maybe this year, do we want to look forward a little bit? Do we want to talk a little bit of what's coming up on Roundtable Mindset as we get through season 2 and into season 3?
Well, before we do that, though, I do want to say, I was thinking about the other day because I was talking with one of my kids' friends about about our podcast and how, like, it was 2 years ago that we got this gift for each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, we bought that cheap podcasting equipment that was
against my better advice. I know it. That's how I remember it.
Right.
As I'm looking at Jamie's state-of-the-art studio with all of the equipment, and I'm still sitting here talking into my paper cup with a string. But go on, Jamie, go on.
I totally got where you were coming from. We were kind of like, well, what if we don't even like it? And what if we never publish anything? And so, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. But super grateful that we only did that for a few months. I don't even remember how long we did that, but we were like pulling our hair out. Well, and then to find out that some of it was just having a 15-year-old computer with no memory.
Mine wasn't even 15. Here's the thing. I bought mine just to start podcasting, but it had such low memory on it that after like 6 episodes, it was struggling to keep up and my quality tanked.
Yeah.
So we've learned a lot, my friend. We've learned a lot. So we have external hard drives now. We have better equipment. We have better recording software, microphones, the whole 9 yards. Like it's a complete 180 from where we started, which makes me laugh.
Well, and also me, I know it wasn't a whole lot, but man, it would have been nice to have saved that cash for the real deal, but
you live, you learn.
It's okay. Well, I suppose you spend, you learn. But I was just thinking,
Grayson is still enjoying the stuff that you sent him, so thank you.
I'm so glad. That's funny. But no, I was just thinking, holy crap, it's been 2 years since we started this. Like, I mean, we didn't release anything until April, but like a year and a half ago or something.
Everybody should say thank you for that, because remember when we started? Oh my goodness. Brain wreck.
Well, and even I went back and started listening to some of our old, like our first ones again, and I was like, hello, my name is Jamie. I am your host. And your name? Should we talk about this? Like, it was so stiff and it was so bad.
We had to learn. We had to get comfortable.
I know. It just made me laugh. It made me laugh. So I was just gonna, say it's kind of fun to reflect and think back a couple of years ago how much is different and how much is the same. And I don't know. I just I think the thing I appreciate about this so much is that I get to do it with you. And so we have scheduled, guaranteed hangout times. And
it's been a lot of
fun.
The
best part for sure. But so we don't want to do a year in review. We don't have any need to do it. If you want to review our year, go back to, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can get our year in review. But
Good pods.
Yes, all of the places.
Yeah, so if I, looking ahead, right? 2025, first of all, I can't even believe it's going to be 2025. But on the backbone of all the things we've learned, I feel like we're about to hit season 3. As we wrap up season 2, Difficult Conversations, we have things that are coming up that are really interesting. So we have Straight Privilege that I think we've already recorded, and that's going to be being released sometime in January. I think it's like the second Thursday of January. We have Victim Mentality that we're going to be talking about. We have another podcast coming on, Introspective AF, and they are going to talk to us about narcissists. So that should be fun. Anti-vaxxers, that's another big one that we might be having some guests come on and talk about. What other things, Jamie, can you remember that we have for season 2 as we wrap that up?
I feel like you hit the big ones. We've still got a couple. I think we're still kind of like rolling a couple around. So yeah, we're not completely wrapped up yet, but
we definitely need to bring our friend that's on the school board, because we need to finish up book banning. That's been an open topic for I don't know how long. And we finally found someone who's on a school board who's going to speak about that. So
who could speak about that?
Conclusion. Huh?
Who could speak about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and I have a friend I was going to ask about that too, because he is no longer on the school board and might actually come and talk about it. Because I think people who are actively in those positions, I don't know that they want to talk about it as much.
Right.
Now that he's no longer doing that, maybe he would be willing to come on and chat. So
as you can see, the new year, the end of season 2, there's some difficult topics that we're going to tackle. And I think with season 1 of kind of exploring different perspectives, season 2, we're practicing on having some of those difficult conversations. Season 3 is one that I've been waiting to do for quite some time. And I think we can maybe air it out a little bit. So do you want to start teasing it a little bit?
No, because I'm curious what you're going to say. Because I've been keeping it like super. I've been keeping it super close to the chest. Like I have not tipped my hand.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about what we do know. So and I'm just gonna say it all, Jamie. And if we're not gonna edit this, tell me now to not what I should and shouldn't share.
We're not editing, so go.
All right. So as some of you may have already heard, and you will hear in January, we have one of Jamie's friends. His name is Jacob. Jacob's been, by the time it airs in January, I think there's 2 episodes that he's been on. And Jamie, help me with his title. He's a psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor.
Licensed clinical mental health practitioner. He's a counselor.
Okay.
Like a therapist.
He is going to join forces with us in season 3 of Roundtable Mindset. So there will actually be 3 co-hosts for the entire season. Very excited about that. Jamie's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, but Jacob's going to join the roundtable on a permanent basis. And we still may have other people pop in from time to time, but the main focus will be us 3. And one of the things that we are going to kind of pop the top on is we're going to talk about, well, there's a lot that we're going to talk about. Most notably, though, we're going to talk about biases, and we're going to talk about lots of different biases. And before, some people might roll their eyes and be like, oh, good grief. We are not a self-help podcast. We don't want to become a self-help podcast. But again, I think this is the final, what I'll say, perspective that we wanted to hit on. And I say Jamie and I, when we started dreaming up Roundtable Mindset, just to kind of get us through. So the biases are things that some of us are aware of and some of us are not aware of. And there are traits that we can see in some people and we can't see in others. And the hope of going through all these biases that we're going to talk about is going to shed some light. Hopefully some of it can be introspective. So maybe there's some things that we're not aware of, or listeners might not be aware of about themselves, that this may help you kind of break that open a little bit and do some self-examination. We're hoping it also will give you some insight into some people that you have a close relationship with, or maybe you can't seem to get closer to them and you want to, or you can't seem to get rid of them when you want to. Maybe how you view a person is all because wrapped up into these biases that we're going to be touching on. And so I've been really looking forward to this topic, and the fact that we're going to be adding Jacob as a co-host is just going to be icing on the cake. Because again, we're doing a deep dive into these. We're also going to be talking about microaggressions and how you can identify these biases and these microaggressions, and then how do you overcome them, or how do you minimize them within yourself. So I think it's going to be really great. And it's going to culminate in our 3-season kind of idea when we brought Roundtable together of going through these different disciplines. And so I'm really excited and nervous to get started on doing that. And our research, so you talk about the podcast time continuum, we're not even wrapped up with season 2 yet. And we're already starting to talk about season 3 and having planning sessions and diving in and doing research on these different topics. So it's going to be, there probably won't be a lot of room for off the cuff, spontaneous episodes like this where we can just turn the mics on and talk, because every episode is going to be filled with a lot of research, facts, and I think really interesting content.
Although you never know what's going to come up, because we hadn't necessarily planned this Christmas bonus edition either. And here we are doing a Christmas episode. So I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I'm just going to leave a room open for that.
Oh, I think there's always room for spontaneity, but I know there's a lot of stuff as we just want to get to. So we're really excited and looking forward to that. And after that, we don't know what we're going to do, to be honest, but that's going to be our focus. So we're at least going to give another year or another season of this. And then after that, I think we're going to have to regroup because I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Well, let's not pretend we haven't already started talking about what's after that, but it's just still nebulous a little bit. So, yeah.
Good. So if any of you, the listening, want to be engaged in any of the things that we've kind of talked about, where you have ideas for topics that you'd like us to get to in season 3 or beyond, don't hesitate to, send us an email, roundtablemindset@gmail.com, or you can go to our Facebook page and kind of leave us a message there. We would love to take those inputs in and see what we can do with them as well.
Well, and let's, I guess I also really have big hopes that we'll start doing some live interactions and some video content and things like that too. So I think that's still, we're not there yet, but working that direction, I think. I don't know about you.
I've been getting a lot of requests for us to have our videos turned on. So maybe that's the next step we go. Maybe season 3 is us with our videos on. I'm going to be the first to say that makes me a little nervous, to be honest, because I can hide a lot of my facial expressions. I can't, just by changing my vocal. When you can't see my face, I guess I should say I can hide a lot of what I'm saying through my facial expressions, because my voice, I can keep it kind of steady. But when I have my camera on, people can read me like a book. And so that's going to make me be really self-conscious, I think.
Well, not only that, but also like the in-between times, like when you're talking and I sometimes zone out and stop. No, I'm just kidding.
When you nod off. I'm here.
When I'm not looking directly at the camera and I'm like, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes the screen freezes on the Zooms once in a while was like, holy help us. So.
Well, that's just it. Whenever we would lose bandwidth, I don't want to be stuck for half with like my nose up in the air. You can see into my nostril and I can't fix it or whatever, but.
Well, and the backgrounds. We'll have to figure out the backgrounds because right now it's nice right now, but when I'm at my house, it's not always as nice. So.
Well, we need to think about consistency and all these other wonderful things. Now everyone's probably bored listening to us, but
that's okay. Wait, didn't we decide this was about us? It's not about them. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't know. Every one of the seasons we've done, I think, has had a purpose and it's had an intention for me. And season 3 is not going to be any different. It's just almost like, well, I won't get into it because I'll be part of season 3, but it's going to be different. It's going to be different for me because this is something that I've been wanting to sink my teeth in because I've had a personal experience that took place that kind of directed me towards this whole, I'll say in my world, your world's probably different, Jamie, but in my world, it's really the things that you don't talk about, right? These biases. And so it's really fascinating to see what all of these entail. So.
Well, and I think that's why I'm kind of excited about it, because it is a huge part of my work, right? Like understanding our own biases and working through those in order to be, in order to provide the best support we can to the people that we work with in my job is part of my job. And so I don't know. I feel like I'm no expert in the topic by any means, but I do feel like I've done some of that work and I'm always kind of confronted with, okay, wait a second. Why is that my reaction or whatever? So I'm kind of looking forward to this because I think that there are, as aware as I can be about my biases, there are still like some of the ones that we've already encountered. I'm like, what? That is not a thing. You know what I mean? So it'll be good.
Yeah. And of course, my cynicism has to come in and I have to be like, is that really a bias? Come on.
I'm prepared for a whole season. Is that really seriously?
Well, and I think those are valid questions, right? And I think having Jake on there is going to be helpful for that.
So. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that.
And I'm getting to know Jake, and he seems like he's a nice guy, and he's solid, and he knows how to communicate very well, and he can have a conversation, as some of you have either heard already or will hear in the future. He's able to have a difficult conversation and respect the fact that it is difficult and it might hit some things that he's not excited about, but that doesn't make him shy away. So it's almost like we're testing him to say, if you can handle these conversations with us, then I think you can handle the next season. And so he seems to be really excited for it as well.
I do feel like this last episode, which is actually our next episode, because here we are back in the podcasting space-time continuum. But I do feel like that was a really difficult conversation. It's about, some hard stuff that is, I think it was kind of a good test run for what's to come. So I'm pretty excited about our bias season of biases.
You'll be great. I think it'll be really great. And then personally, just kind of wrapping up the year and looking forward to 2025. I got to ask, because we're here, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Do you have anything in 2025, any resolutions that you're going to focus on?
I feel like we talked about this last year. I don't really do resolutions, right? So I can show you. I'm sitting here with it right next to me. I did this thing with one of our support groups, but we don't call them support groups because that's not cool. So we did this activity, and it was like, so we got these clear bulbs, like Christmas bulbs, and put like stuffed them with stuff. And I don't know if you can see in here, there's this little tiny, you see the black and white, there's this little tiny piece of paper that's all rolled up. And that is my word for 2025. It's like, so I pick a word and I try to focus on that and explore what it means and how I want to manifest that in my life. I use that word just for you.
Sorry I even asked the question. Just forget it, Jamie. Just say you don't do anything for resolutions. Let's move on.
It says patchouli oil. No, I'm just kidding.
It says joint. Okay, great, Jamie.
Patchouli oil and sage stick is what's on my paper. No, I guess my word for 2025, which is kind of like my resolution, but not really, because I hate those. That's like goals that I'm going to ignore starting in February 2nd. But my word is consistency. So I'm hoping, I feel like, I don't know, do you ever feel like you can really excel in one thing and then all the rest of them just kind of fall away? Like, so if I'm going to really excel at work, then like the dishes could go a couple days and it's fine. Like, I'm not going to empty the dishwasher because I'm focused fully on work or whatever. And so I really want to spend the next year just trying to balance that stuff out and be consistent in all of my spaces that I'm involved in, so that so that they all get what they deserve and I feel invested and not burnt in any of those areas at any time. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think I've heard of something similar to that before. One of the things is I'm looking across the social medias, I've been seeing a lot more of it. I don't know if you've been seeing it. I think they're promises. So I don't think people are using resolution as much, but they're saying promises you make for yourself. So what are your promises you're going to make in 2025? And I thought that was, I think that's kind of interesting. And I think it just, again, they're resolutions, right? Like these are resolutions.
They're promises. I like that better.
Yeah. But I think I've seen that a couple different times now. And, for myself, I don't do resolutions because I always break them, right? No matter what I do, I always seem to be like, oh, I failed at that. That sucks. So I don't know if I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and make promises or resolutions, but I always try to, I like looking and being reflective, and I do this at my job. I do this across my life. I do this on the podcast. I do this everywhere. am I in a different place? Am I better? Am I performing more? Am I doing more now than I did 6 months ago or a year ago? And so I think I'll kind of continue doing that in 2025. I don't know if I, at this point in time, have a direction that I want to do other than I just want to be better in 2025 than I was in 2024. And that can mean a variety of different things, right? That could mean at my personal, that could mean in my job, that could be with relationships, that could be in my Christian faith, that can be with my kids. I haven't really decided yet, but I think overall that's kind of how I treat those is just I want to be better in 2025 than I was in 2024.
Why not just manifest something with me, Mahlon? I'm just saying.
Manifest. You can't just totally manifest anything. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That gets me going too, because I'm like, it's hard work and dedication. You can't just wish yourself into.
Well, that's how you manifest it, is with hard work and dedication. But seriously, I think, and this is probably the third or maybe fourth year that I've done that, where I've kind of chosen a word to kind of focus my energy on, to focus my work on, to focus whatever. One year it was balance. Last year it was joy. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it just kind of gives me something to focus on. I will write it down in several places. It usually ends up on a sticky note that gets transferred from week to week to week until it falls apart. And then I have to do another one in my planner and things like that. So, yeah, it's, I don't do resolutions because I suck at them. So,
well, we both do resolutions in a way. We just call them different things, I think.
Do you think that's a resolution though? Because I don't know. When I think of resolutions, and maybe we should define this, but when I think of resolutions, it's like, I'm going to go to the gym every day in 2025 and I'm going to only eat whole foods that have it's usually those kind of things, right?
But there's no difference between that, in my opinion. There's no difference between that and I'm going to work in 2025 to make put all aspects of my life in balance. It's a resolution.
Oh, I suppose. Probably if you look up the definition of resolution.
I get what you're saying because I don't do resolutions just for the fact that I can give myself this one thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop drinking pop. January 2nd, I'm opening a can of pop to drink it. I'm like, well, there's that. Now I have nothing else to focus on.
It's caffeine free.
Yeah. No. So I get what you're saying, but I just think it's funny because if you really, I think, boil it down, they're all resolutions. It's just how we talk about them, which again, this new concept that I'm seeing of making yourself a promise in 2025, I want to see how that kind of works out because I'm kind of interested on, does that hold more, I'm going to use really poor language here, but does that hold more power over you because you've made yourself a promise that you don't want to break? Or is it just a fun way to reinvent an old tradition?
I think it's mindset. Don't you? I mean, if you, I'm not imposing some rule on myself, but I'm promising myself that I'm going to do this. I think that's probably part of it. And honestly, no shade to people who are like, no, I'm hitting the gym and you go, girl, to the one who does it. Like, that's amazing. So I don't want to throw any hate at somebody that's like, no, my New Year's goals are where it's at. I'm cool with that. But I just have never been able to be successful with them. And usually nothing I start in January, it actually sticks longer than a week or two anyway. For some reason, spring is a better time for me to make big life changes. And then they're not New Year's resolutions. They're like spring cleaning or something.
So let me ask you this. Have you had ever, I'm not even saying in 2024, but maybe in 2024, but have you ever had a surprised resolution?
What do you mean?
Like, you've discovered that you've made a change throughout the year that had you thought about it, you could have made it a resolution, but you didn't, but it is acting in the same format. So you're looking at me weird. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I think so. I think like when you're reflecting on the last year and you're like, holy crap, look what I accomplished. Or
yeah, but So like, here's my example. And I'm going to say in 2024, I'm kind of surprised. And, my health is something you and I have off the microphone. I've kind of talked about this. I've talked about this numerous times with my wife. But, my health is something that I wanted to really improve over the last few years. And I'll make things about, I need to reduce my weight by this much. I need to stop eating these types of foods by this much. There was always these qualifiers. And in 2024, I didn't set a resolution for my health, really. But what I did is I started making changes. And am I across the goal line of being Mr. Olympus? No. But have I far? What? No. But what I'm saying is, like, if you would look at me, somebody would look at me, you're like, okay, so you did what? And I can say internally, there's a lot of different things that have happened for me. One of which is I've gotten a lot of my strength back, and I'll say some endurance. These were all kind of surprises for me. I made changes throughout the year. I haven't been as consistent as I probably should have been, but I've made these changes. And now at the end of the year, I can look back and say, man, where I started versus where I'm ending, I would have called this a surprise resolution because I did make these changes and I stuck to them, which is weird, right? Like we make these resolutions and within the first week, I've already broken them. I'm like, I might as well not even continue. Well, this time around was kind of a different approach that I took, which was I made these changes and then I stuck. And I know people listening that don't struggle with this will probably like, you're an idiot. But like I stuck with them and now I am not even in the same place I was when I started. I would consider that a surprise resolution. Like it worked exactly as a New Year's resolution supposed to, but I did it without calling it a resolution or even thinking about it in terms as a resolution.
First of all, that's so cool. I'm glad you're in a space where, because I feel like that's why resolutions like fail is because we go into it with such a weird black and white mindset. You know what I mean? Like it's all or nothing and, that kind of thing. And that's why I don't do the resolution thing. Like I have intentions to improve myself for the next year, but I'm not going to do a resolution because that's all black and white and doesn't work for me. So I don't know if I can, I'd have to think about that. When you said it at first, I was like, the year I got divorced would be one of those like, yes, I.
Yes, I kicked my husband to the curb. That's surprising everybody, including him.
Well, and none of that, actually. I think what it was is it was like this, it was this space where when you get married super young and, I didn't go straight from my parents' house into marriage or anything like that. It's not like that. But I was super young when I got married and I really had gotten to a space where I wasn't sure that I could be independent and take care of myself and my kids on my own. You know what I mean? So like the end of that year, it was like, I mean, yeah, you looked in the mirror with, some flexing of the muscles or something to be like, look what I did. I can do it. You know what I mean? It was like, it was a huge amount of growth for me for a year. In just knowing that knowing that I can be okay, even when it's not okay. You know what I mean? So it did, I think without the joke at the beginning, I do feel like that was kind of a big accomplishment for a year or two. Yeah, I think to just be okay when it wasn't okay. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of self-work for me. So that year felt pretty accomplished, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of transition in that year too.
Yeah.
A lot of change.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, and to be better than, like, to create something that was better than it was before. I think that's what surprised me so much was coming to the end of the year and realizing that what we had created and what we had, like me and my kids had created for our new space together was really so much better than it had been. Less toxicity and, more honest and open communication. And it was really, yeah, it was good. And I didn't realize that I was even doing it until I reflected on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, I'm trying to relate to that because, again, I've never gone through what you've gone through. But, one of the biggest changes in something that I've tried has been this podcast. And there was a lot of fear. I mean, I've been wanting to do a podcast for years. And even when we started, there was a lot, what I'll call adult fear, right? And I'm finding as I get older that this adult fear, people call it anxiety, people call it apprehension, or maybe they don't even recognize it. It prevents them from doing different things, and they think they decide not to do it. But if you really boil it down, there's this underlying fear that I think most adults walk around with. And it's not and I'm probably going to get yelled at for this, because at the time, kids that experience this, it's the world. But I'm not going to say it's not even that superficial fear of, I don't want to be the odd person out, or I don't want to fit in, I need to go with the crowd. I would say this is a deeper fear that I think most adults have. And I'm speculating, of course, maybe not everybody, but I will say I wanted to do a podcast for years, and I stopped myself from doing it from a lot of different reasons, but mostly it was because I was scared. I was afraid of nobody listening, nobody caring. What would I say? Who could I offend? And I think one of the best things that I did for myself is when we started this podcast, and you were there, we had to work through this a lot, right? We had the imposter syndrome that we still suffer from time to time. I mean, heck, we just talked the other day on an episode where it's like, who are we to say anything? Well, we're just giving opinions. We're giving life lessons. We're not professionals. We're not giving advice. We're just saying, hey, this is what we've struggled with. And sometimes we bring people on to kind of talk through it. But I will say that one of the greatest things that's happened is look at all the things we've talked about over the last 2 years, as I'm being reflective when I said I wasn't going to be. And look at all the new people we have brought into our lives. I mean, the podcasting community alone is a very embracive community. People come alongside you. It's been really fascinating and fantastic. But even amongst that, we've had some great podcasters that have made connections with us that we still have even now. And you look back, and none of that would have been possible. Some of the people that I've met, even coming on to talk about issues, our guests, I would never have put myself in the same room. And I have to say, had I listened to that fear, all of that would not have been possible. So I think that's one big lesson that I've learned in 2024 that I'm hoping to apply in 2025 is, take more of those chances and those risks and put yourself out there a little bit more, because you never know what can come from it. And that sounds like a giant cliche or a Hallmark movie waiting to just write itself. But truthfully, it's kind of remarkable when you look back and say, from where we started 2 years ago, unpacking boxes, giggling because the fact that when we heard our voices in our own headphones for the first time and we laughed uncontrollably, to really what we've accomplished and what we've talked about and the people we've met. And I hope the listeners, the ones that, have come in every week and listened, or maybe some of you that are just joining this episode, go take a listen to some of the past ones, because it's been remarkable, I think, of what we've been able to do and talk about and bring people we never met face to face, yet we brought our ideas together. And this virtual roundtable that we created here, Jamie, I think it's impressive, and I'm glad we did it. So I'm being long-winded. I'm reminiscing a little bit, all the Yule tides and all that's coming out of me. But at the same time, I think it's because we didn't pay attention to that fear anymore. At least I didn't. And I stepped outside of my comfort zone. So I think that's going to be something I try to apply in 2025 as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of, I don't know if we kept it. Did we keep that first thing that we recorded? We should have, for posterity, for sure.
I'll have to go look in our archives, but I think we might have.
Oh, to go from there to here. Well, and not just that, but even like the progression of what we've created. You know what I mean? Like at first we thought it was just going to be not like a debate podcast, but at the same time a debate podcast. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, do I think we're a self-help podcast? No. But I also think that there isn't an encounter that we have with someone that's different than us that shouldn't change us in some way. You know what I mean? And we can choose to let it change us for the good or let it change us for the negative. And so as unself-helpy as I can say that, I feel like, it is all about growth, but that is the human condition if we're doing it right. You know what I mean? Like if we're being people properly, I feel like growth is inevitable. And if we're not looking for that, then what are we doing? You know what I mean? So we're not self-help, but we are growing. And I think that's cool. So growth is good.
We're growing away from being a self. No, just kidding. Well, it's funny because neither one of us started out as, and I don't think either one of us want to be a self-help.
No.
But we look at some of the charts that we're on, and some of them are self-help charts. It's like
an education.
It's like,
what?
Why? Okay. All right. Whatever our audience wants, I guess that's what they're putting us in. But
yeah, it's whatever.
It is whatever. And that brings me to my final thing. I don't know if you have anything else, Jamie, but for me, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of our listeners, everybody that has been either from, with us from the very beginning, or they've come in and out. I know some people have listened to, one season and they bypassed the other, or they liked our Talk About It Tuesdays, but they haven't listened to a regular episode, or vice versa. Or they've been there, from the very beginning. To all of you, truthfully and honestly, thank you. And we hope you continue to come to the Roundtable with us and see what season, how we finish out season 2 and we get into season 3. So thank you very much.
Yeah. We're not done. We'll be back. So I don't know. I think it's, I guess if there's one thing I could say or request is that I would love to hear more from those people that are listening in the shadows. Because we have people that are close to us or that care about us that listen to our episodes and then call us and are like, what? No. Like they tell us about it. But it would be really cool to interact with some of you who aren't in our friends and family lists on Facebook. Just to interact and tell us what you think and, give us some feedback, because we definitely, we do this for us because it's a hobby and it's fun. But it would not, it would be kind of pointless if we were just doing, it would be like when we were sending tapes back and forth in like 8th grade, right?
We used the technology that was available at the time, Jamie.
It was cool. It was cool. Well, and long distance phone calls actually cost money back then. So it was cheaper to mail a tape. But if it wasn't for all of you who listen, there wouldn't be the drive to keep doing what we do and to get better at it. So yeah, thank you for joining us on this crazy little tour we're taking. It's been fun.
Well, and you bring up a really good point. Like all of our social medias, our numbers keep going up, our listening keeps going up. So it's like people are there, but the amount of times people will interact is kind of staying the same. So it's like, we know you're there. We know you're at the table with us.
Well, and at the same time, let me just also say, I don't reach out to my podcast hosts either. So we're just normal people, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, just reach out because we're normal people and we're just curious, what people think and any ideas. We're always down. We're always down for some new ideas too, and new guests. If there's something you want to talk about, tell us.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. I think that's it for 2024. Put a pin in us. I think we're done.
What is that song that doesn't make any sense because the words are all like in a different language or something? That they sing it. They sing it. Years. Da, na, 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 na,
oh.
Na, na.
Yeah, I know what you're saying now. They played on New Year's Eve when the ball drops.
I don't even know, but
when you're not editing, that gives you some time to look up that song. You could put it right then and start playing it and let us go out with that song.
No, it's not gonna happen. Ain't nobody got time for that. You guys are getting like uncut, unabridged. Like,
you're just getting like an hour and a half, and then we're unplugging and have to go about our merry ways. So this is what you get. Sorry, not sorry.
I still have gifts to wrap. That's why I'm not doing this at home, because my dog would be digging through the bags of gifts I have sitting in my office waiting for me to wrap them.
I still have 2 gifts that are out. One's supposed to be here tomorrow. The other one just says it's late. I don't know what to do with that.
Okay, can I just tell you, I'm kind of grateful that we're doing Christmas on New Year's because I have gifts that I just ordered that will be here on like the 30th. So,
well, I had gifts that I ordered in the middle of December that are now saying, one of them at least is saying late. That's all.
Is it mine?
That's all it gives me. Late.
I'll forgive you.
Oh, no, yours is under the never category. Kidding. Totally kidding.
This is your gift, spending the time with me. So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
We'll go to Amigos. It's fine.
I'll go to Tasty Tacos. That's fine.
Well, yeah, but I'm not coming your way. You're coming my way. So.
Oh, I thought you were rubbing in my face. Now I feel bad. Yes, let's go to Amigos. Yes.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Tacos and ranch.
Now, let's be truthful. The ranch there is just the food is a mechanism to get the ranch into your mouth because that ranch is amazing.
Except the nachos, man. I can't get over the nachos. So it's been a thing lately. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, that's how we end it. Bye, guys.
being foodies, 2024. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025.
Mic drop. Bye.
Bye, everyone.